Coming up, Tzu Chi volunteers in Taiwan gathered to pack winter relief items for their care recipients. Tzu Chi volunteers help a senior in New Taipei City find meaning to his life once more. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. With the Lunar New Year just weeks away, Tzu Chi volunteers across Taiwan have begun preparing winter aid packages for care recipients so that they can enjoy a happy new year. In板桥and三重of New Taipei City, Tzu Chi volunteers have mobilized over 100 people from each area, along with care recipients, to contribute to the efforts. At Sanchong's Jingsi Hall, volunteers are busily preparing gifts for care recipients to help them enjoy a wonderful Lunar New Year.
We are moving the multi-grain powder and other kinds of things. I'm doing a lot. Even though my back hurts, I'm very happy to be here.
We just want to give the care recipients a nice new year. Everyone is happy and enthusiastic to come here and form a bond with care recipients. You see everyone's enthusiasm as they work.
The items are all organized and packed in a particular way. Attention to detail is not only important for fitting all the goods, but is also a show of respect for the recipients.
These gifts are for people in need. In the future, when I'm able to return the kindness, I hope to give a gift like this one to the next person who needs it.
Poor people really do need help. Just giving a little bit of time to come and help out, spreading love from the heart makes me so happy.
A similar event can be found at Banqiao's Jingsi Hall, where burn survivor Cai Yaping, though wearing therapeutic gloves, which makes the work slow, is happy she has come to experience the true joy of giving.
There's a kind of happiness that you can only know from helping others. I can't explain it in words. People won't understand. You really have to actually help others to know that kind of happiness.
Tzu Chi volunteers are really so thoughtful, coming here to help today. Everyone is so full of love.
Every care package is packed full with the love of volunteers. Everyone earnestly hopes these gifts will bring joy and warmth to the care recipients in the new year. Over in Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteers are also packing supplies for people in need. In Sungai Long, Selangor, there is a refugee education center which was having financial problems as the UN had cut off funding. Knowing about the limited resources at the refugee school, Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter was determined to provide the children with the needed supplies. Before the volunteers handed out the supplies, they made sure to double-check the working conditions.
We need to inspect the backpacks to make sure they're in good condition.
After checking the donated book bags, Tzu Chi volunteers from the Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter prepared them to be sent to the school for refugees.
These are okay. I've checked all these. We'll give these to the children. If it's okay, then they can use it. If it doesn't work, we won't use it.
After ensuring that 60 book bags are usable, Tzu Chi sorts them according to age range and organizes the school supplies for the convenience of the children.
We have sharpened the pencils to make it easy for the kids to use it.
At the Sungai Long Refugee Education Center, 40 students have gathered to meet Tzu Chi. 18-year-old Lun Kang doesn't have her own book bag. She often shares one with her siblings while attending class.
And useful for me. It's needed for me. Sometimes I use plastic bag and carry. My sister, they have this school bag, simple school bag.
The second-hand book bags, no matter whether it's new or old, Tzu Chi just hopes each child can have their own.
What we have to give today is a kind of love and our hope of caring for life by protecting the earth. We hope this thinking will be passed on to them and last their whole life.
The students at the Refugee Education Center range in age from 3 to 20 years old. Some have come to flight as refugees with their parents. Others have been born in Malaysia. Tzu Chi hopes their care and these gifts will assist the children to succeed in their studies. Knowing how to care for the disadvantaged is something that Tzu Chi volunteers pride themselves on doing. In our next report, we take a look at how the medical staff at the Yuli Tzu Chi Hospital helps a widow stay strong despite her children's illnesses.
The staff of Yuli Tzu Chi Hospital conduct medical outreach services once a week. Today, they came to Jianana tribe in Ruishui Town to visit Grandma Zhang, who has been raising her children alone for over 30 years.
背部有没有褥疮？
那以前是那个肛门那个。
那个地方有。
有，现在好了。
好了，哦，要翻身啊，要那个啊。对呀。你们算是照顾很好。对呀。哦。
8 years ago, Grandma Zhang's eldest son suddenly fell into a coma. Social workers from Yuli Tzu Chi Hospital tell the grandma about a respite care service that can lessen her burden.
If you need this respite care service, you can call them. You can call this number.
Tzu Chi volunteers have been caring for Grandma Zhang for a while, bringing her and her children daily necessities.
You must also take care of yourself. Don't forget to take your medicines for blood sugar and hypertension.
She is strong and optimistic. I asked her if she is faced with any problems in life, and she told me she has enough money to get by.
Grandma Zhang, who is more than 70 years old, still has to take care of her sons. But she has remained strong as she now has the support of the staff of Yuli Tzu Chi Hospital and volunteers.
Meanwhile, Tzu Chi volunteers in New Taipei City helped Mr. Chen of Xinzhuang District regain his working ability to start a new life after the man cut himself off from the world upon losing his vision 8 years ago.
Tzu Chi care recipient Mr. Chen, whose vision was severely impaired in a car accident 8 years ago, once lost his ability to work.
He said he did not have money and suffered from poor health. He also lost his wife and son and owed rent. He did not know what to do.
When he fell into despair, Tzu Chi volunteers brought him hope.
The volunteers told me to open up. They now bring me supplies, such as rice and food, every week.
In addition, volunteers encourage Mr. Chen to learn a skill. However, the learning process was not easy for Mr. Chen.
He said he was already 60 years old and maybe people would not accept him. We told him that is all right, just be willing to learn.
Then the massage therapy teacher and volunteers kept encouraging Mr. Chen. Finally, Mr. Chen was certified as a massage therapist at the end of last year. Then he also learned to take care of himself, including cooking. Now Mr. Chen is content with simple meals. Even going to the market becomes a fun activity in life for him. He also gladly receives the help of vendors. Having regained his confidence, Mr. Chen has once again opened up his heart and started a new chapter of his life.
For many, meeting Tzu Chi is often a turning point in life. Volunteer Tan Qingguan of Klang, Malaysia, grew up in an impoverished household, living a frugal lifestyle. In 2008, she met Tzu Chi at a community event and has been caring for the environment ever since. The death of her son 2 years ago made her realize life's impermanence. She now encourages her family to volunteer and has reaffirmed her dedication to Tzu Chi's conservation mission.
This is Tan Qingguan, riding a bicycle used especially for recycling. Since 2008, when she started volunteering, this has become one of her most cherished possessions.
I just know how to be thrifty, saving water, saving paper. I tell kids they shouldn't throw away their pencils. They should use them till their very last bit.
We used to collect used milk containers. They were filthy. Some of the sisters would see the bugs and take off. But she would always just go about the work. She also picks up trash along the road and carries it home. Her house is always full of materials to be recycled.
In 2014, while her son was on a trip, he died unexpectedly. Tan Qingguan was heartbroken. Thankfully, through her participation in community events and her study of the Dharma, she was able to overcome her pain.
The master teaches us life is impermanent. If a person passes on to the next life, then it's just their time. Just like the string on a kite that is cut, you can't keep pulling on their memory. You just have to let them go. The sooner you've gone, the sooner you'll come back. That's my thinking. This way, it won't trouble me forever.
Tan Xingguan has turned her thoughts about her son into thoughts of gratitude. Seeing the great love her mother has shown, Tan Xingguan's daughter has also become a volunteer.
Since my mom really enjoys working with Tzu Chi, I've been able to accompany her, and I'll keep on participating in various events, like study groups and volunteer training courses. I plan on coming more.
At the year-end blessing ceremony, Tan Xingguan shares her experiences and encourages everyone to be more caring towards the environment.
These days we have so much stuff, so much clothing, so don't be wasteful. You can wear your clothes for a while. You don't always need to buy new clothes.
Tan Xingguan loves the earth with all her heart. Hopefully, as an example to us all, this kind of love will spread all over the earth.
It doesn't matter where a disaster strikes in the world. If it's within their ability, Tzu Chi volunteers will reach out a helping hand, either in the form of medical aid, material assistance, or even just a simple donation. With Taiwan Tzu Chi Foundation at the helm, they guide overseas volunteers in immediately and successfully in carrying out the international disaster relief. In today's segment of the Tzu Chi 50th anniversary series, we take a look at Tzu Chi's natural instinct to help and how local volunteers play an important role in disaster relief and furthering Tzu Chi's missions to more corners of the world.
What Nepal needs now are blankets, water, food, and medical supplies.
In many international disasters, Tzu Chi is always first on the scene. The money given for humanitarian aid, for example in Nepal, Myanmar, it's the money canvassed by global volunteers and given on behalf of Taiwan.
Regardless of the time and space, the circle of giving and gratitude continues on.
缅甸都是马来西亚的槟城啊，去带动辅导，那也很感恩马来西亚纪元，他呢就率领了一群人投入了，要帮助他们。天地之宽呐，路再难走呢，他们也要走出来一条菩提大道。
As life gets back to normal for the Burmese, in Tanyin Township's Tan Nhat Bin village, local residents were so grateful of Tzu Chi's assistance that they changed the village name to Tzu Chi. Looking to further give back, farmers would save a handful of rice each day to repay Tzu Chi's kindness. In 2008, when Tzu Chi first set foot in Myanmar, there were no local volunteers, but now many have joined Tzu Chi's ranks and helped spread the cause.
I want to pass on this blessing to other farmers in hopes they will also help others.
最重要，我们的目标要去做的，不管我们在每个
For us, the most important goal is to teach them about goodwill, no matter if it's Myanmar or Nepal. We want them to become a bodhisattva and continue the cycle of love.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Malaysia's first participation in international disaster relief was in 2004 during the tsunami relief mission to Aceh, Indonesia.
When disaster strikes, help comes from all quarters. When Malaysia began participating in international relief, the question was how to most effectively and efficiently carry things out. As community events are localized, international relief is conducted in the same way to achieve a higher percentage of success. For example, Malaysians can quickly reach Myanmar. Of course, commands are given by the headquarters in Taiwan, and a command center is set up. The same goes for Africa. We don't have many resources in Africa. It's okay. Volunteers from different parts of the world can go to assist.
On the African continent, volunteers continue to spread Tzu Chi's mission despite difficulties and obstacles. Starting out from Durban, South Africa, volunteers would venture thousands of kilometers to bring their love and care to those in need. Now Tzu Chi's footprints have made their way into 8 African countries. In Swaziland alone, over 38 distributions have taken place. As for local volunteers, the numbers have only increased as the years go on.
Was Tzu Chi Foundation. He gave us clothes, gave us food, he gave us a lot of things. So I believe. Okay. That's why I stopped hating.
Tzu Chi's role is one that doesn't have to adhere to political restrictions. The organization doesn't have to follow governmental guidelines. From a humanitarian perspective, the foundation has demonstrated its selfless and generous spirit.
Volunteers from South Africa play the same mentor roles to others in the African continent as those in Malaysia do for Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Nepal. The United States to Haiti, Central and South Americas, or even how Australia provided assistance for Papua New Guinea. Tzu Chi's charity and disaster relief calling began its international efforts 25 years ago, when Tzu Chi volunteers unite their efforts to walk on the righteous path. This journey together, though long, is one that is well worth the efforts. More than 40 years after the Vietnam War ended, chemical weapons used by the United States military continue to devastate the people of Vietnam. As people exposed to these toxins suffer lifelong illnesses, their children are born with birth defects. For the second year, Tzu Chi volunteers in Bien Dong province have held distributions to bring needed supplies and best wishes to 300 war victims and their families. My parents were very sad when I was born. I felt terrible at the way people looked at me.
This Vietnamese woman dropped out of school at 9th grade because she could not face people's discrimination. More than 40 years after the Vietnam War ended, defoliants used by the U.S. military still remains in the Vietnam soil, causing deformities in infants. To help 300 families who were victims of the defoliants, Tzu Chi volunteers in Bien Dong province have been distributing supplies in 6 cities over the course of 3 days. In addition to giving out cash that's equal to $13, volunteers also distribute mosquito net, cooking oil, sugar, salt, and soy sauce to each family.
Thay mặt thôi, chúng tôi tỏ lời tri ân sâu sắc. Xe tăng nó chạy ra mẹ dữ vậy á. Bây giờ lái xe tăng đi lãnh quà luôn. Một phạt anh.
In addition to giving out needed supplies, the volunteers have brought joy and friendship to these victims of Vietnam War.
Moving back to Taiwan, school buildings of Yunlin County's Dounan Senior High School needed to be rebuilt since they did not meet seismic standards. However, that also means students will need temporary classrooms while the construction is going on. Thankfully, the Tzu Chi Foundation stepped in and provided several prefabricated classrooms for them to use.
请揭牌，鸣炮。
On the first day of winter vacation, students at Dounan Senior High School are filled with joy. as 16 new prefabricated classrooms are officially ready for use. The students visit these temporary classrooms happily. These rooms may be small, but they are well illuminated. They can withstand the bad weather and also the earthquake.
When my classroom was in a tall building, it would shake badly when an earthquake came.
These rooms are small, but they are well equipped. Students will feel warm in the classrooms.
Some buildings at Dounan Senior High School are too old to withstand earthquakes, so they must be torn down and rebuilt. Tzu Chi Foundation thus built these temporary classrooms for them. However, these building materials are very dirty as they were used as temporary homes for typhoon victims.
One person uses water and the other uses a mop to clear away the filth. Because there are many graffiti on them, we have to repaint them.
Half of these 16 temporary classrooms are used as classrooms, and the other half as offices. The efforts of volunteers have helped the students learn in better environment and warm up the hearts of teachers and students.
During the winter months, black-faced spoonbills migrate south to avoid the cold. However, at茄萣wetlands in Kaohsiung, bird watchers have noticed that compared to last year, the number of black-faced spoonbills have decreased by 28%. They attribute this trend to the warm winter, which has delayed the migration of birds. As an upcoming cold air front approaches, bird watchers hope they'll be able to observe more black-faced spoonbills as they migrate south for the winter.
Standing on the kiosk, the bird watchers are observing black-faced spoonbills. The black-faced spoonbills at this wetland occasionally fly to nearby ponds to fetch food. Compared to last year, the number of black-faced spoonbills here has decreased.
Perhaps they do not come here this early, since this winter has been warm. Some individual birds have come to this wetland, but it is harder to observe them.
According to the association's statistics, there were 215 black-faced spoonbills at茄萣wetland last year, compared to 154 this year. The number has decreased by 28%. The black-faced spoonbills might have stayed in the north due to the warm winter. As the cold air mass approaches, they will then migrate southward. The bird watchers are looking forward to observing a large number of black-faced spoonbills as they migrate to this wetland during the winter month.
At the end of the show, we joined Tzu Chi volunteers in Yunlin's崙背Township as they help a disadvantaged senior celebrate moving back into her home after Tzu Chi repaired her leaky roof. The senior was glad to be able to move back into her home before the Lunar New Year. We will leave you with these images on this last Monday of January. Thank you for joining us.